Thank you. I am very grateful for your invitation to speak here and to meet so many friends and colleagues. And I was just to show some points about the Destreza books in America. It's to remark there was a spreading of fencing across continents, also across countries, and also across different cultures. First of all, some images here are are not to be used without previous consent. We must define what is Destreza, because when we speak about Destreza, we are referring to specifically a combat system that was based in scientific, philosophical, ethical, and religious principles. It was prevalent in the Hispanic world during the modern age, is to say the 16th, 17th, 18th centuries. And you have to mark some of his characteristics is that they tend to spare your life, to self-defense before to be aggressive, and also to be based in Christian principles. What is remarkable of these systems, as a previous presentation has said, that this was very clearly defined. It has an interior structure that can be found from the beginning until the almost 3 centuries that it was in use in Spain and Hispanic countries. It has some consistency. Masters of Destreza were quarreling between them all the time and calling words one to another. But if we see the Destreza text of Destreza master from outside, we clearly can identify that it is Destreza and what is not Destreza. And so, just to put in perspective what was the Hispanic parts of the world that were under direct or indirect control by Spain and Portugal, but for some years they were united in one monarchy. It's from many parts of America. They have presence in parts of Africa, even in Asia, in India, Indonesia, Philippines, and other parts. And in Europe, there was a strong part, not only in the Spanish peninsula, but also in the Low Countries, in parts of France, Netherlands, northern Italy, southern Italy, that were under direct rule by the Spaniards for some years. In this year also happens what somebody has called the first globalization. It was because of this widespread dominion of Spanish and Portuguese, they established trade routes that cross the oceans and connect continents, and also set some kind of trade routes that include several continents. There were commerce coming from Spain, going to America, and from America to Asia, to Philippines, where there was a trade hub where a lot of commerce from Japan, China, and the Southern Island, they were convenient there. Mainly, the Spaniards bring silver, and they take from Asia manufactured goods and luxury goods. They traveled with it across the Pacific Ocean to Mexico, then cross by land, and they re-embarked en route to Spain. And the Portuguese covered the Brazil, the Africa, and also India and some parts of Indonesia and Timor Island and the other parts. Even in this year with the Keicho embassy, this was a Japanese and a diplomatic envoy to Spain, trying to establish closer relationships. There were some contacts between Spain and principally the Pacific coast, but later this was some political problems and these efforts were short-lived. Then, now we are going to start with one person who was taken as the founding father of Destreza. It was Jerónimo de Carranza, was born in Seville. This is the aspect of Seville in the 16th century. Seville was the most important city in Spain because here was the river harbor where all the fleets that go to America were formed here. But for the beginning, the Spaniards make the trade with America not by isolated ships, but they form fleets to protect the commerce. There was an interior in the center of Andalusia, in the river Guadalquivir, and so they can bring the goods well into the inside of the country. The first book that actually you have from Destreza is the book is called The Philosophy of Arms and His Destreza and the Aggression and Defension of the Christians. It was printed in the house of the author in 1582. From then, it is taken as the first book of Destreza. The book was printed in Spain, but the rest of the life of Carranza was spent in America. He traveled to America. He was governor of the province of Honduras in Central America. Actually, this was a part of America. This is a very difficult part, because this was little populated, and they have problems with pirates and some other concerns. And so Carranza was provided as governor, is to say that a kind of civil and military authority. He has traveled with the church there because he was a very right man, and he tried to make the law that was to apply, but the local priests, they don't have many friendship with him, and he was even excommunicated. Well, there is a very long story for another day. Some years later, this is the first book that was published in first fencing book that was published in America. It's in the last part of the 17th century. It is published in Guatemala, which is very near Honduras. And the author claims to be a pupil of Carranza, claims to be a member of the Seville school, but in Destreza, although it was a very monolithic system, there were some different schools for different trades. And this is important, but from some years, it was published before other books that were published in North America. The next author we are going to speak is Francisco Lawrence de Rada. He was born in North Spain, Laredo, in 1660, And his life started as a soldier, as a Marine, naval infantry. He reached the degree of colonel. And we don't have portraits of him, but we have a portrait of the ship he was serving. This is one ship built at the last of the 17th century in the north of Spain, and he traveled extensively in south of Spain, and also he spent a lot of time in Italy, where he learned in the southern Italy, where he learned the Italian systems, and also he can write with a knowledge of this system of combat. He writes a lot of books. When he was in Madrid, wanting to have his promotion, he has time to write a book that is Respuesta Filosófica. It is a philosophical answer to the questions of Destreza. But this same year, when he was in Cádiz, in the south coast of Spain, wanting to come on board, he has time to write another book, this called Crisol, that is a book that is very scarce, only 2 copies. One is in Madrid, and another one is in Mexico Library. Both of them are incomplete, and now we have make a new edition we reunite all the copies and make a complete edition for the first time. Then Lawrence de Rada went to America. He was provide governor of Veracruz. Veracruz was important, as we speak before, was the port of exit of the goods from Mexico to come to Spain. Silver, also American goodies, and also from all the goods that come from America. And when he was there, he has time to publish another book. You see the people there were no entertainments, and they have time to write books. And this is also very scarce, only 1 copy in the Library of Mexico. This man has a very long career and traveled two times between Spain and America and back. This is not usual, because usually people go once, perhaps 2 times, but it was not usual to make the travel several times. And when he was coming back to Spain in the fleet with all the treasure, they were followed by a British Dutch fleet, and they have to take cover in the Bay of Vigo in the north of Spain, where all the fleet was burned and perhaps part of the treasure was lost. Then Lawrence de Rada, as a military, was in charge of part of the defenses of the city of Vigo, and he said that he has lost a book he has written when the fleet was burned, but he has time to reconstruct it in a few years later. He can publish, this time in Spain, a big book that is considered as the main principal book about Destreza. It's comparatively late. We see that it's in the beginning, in the 18th century, and the other books were published just 100 years before. But in this book, this is 2 volumes and more than 1,500 pages, a lot of plates. There is a very, very complex and complete explanation of all the Destreza system. Then we have another time crossing the Atlantic, and this time Lawrence de Rada went to Mexico City. This time as a registrar, and this is a more important position because he has to supervise all the transactions and records, and they get a fee for each of his facts. And in fact, he get a big fortune. This is the score of Mexico in this time. When he was there in Mexico, there was another publication of a book, this time in South America, in Lima, when some people write to Lawrence de Rada and say they have set a new system. They call it Destreza Indiana, is to say the Destreza from America. Then Rada writes an answer to this book, very angry, and say that this was nonsense, that the Destreza was the true system, and they were wrong. The people from South America claims that the system was original, but Rada says that this was exactly the same as Italian system, and so there was a debate between them. Some years later, almost 100 years later, we have seen that we're reaching the 3 centuries span. There was published in Mexico City a book, this time about saber. Saber was for them a new weapon, but the Destreza master tried to incorporate it into the Destreza system, and they write how to use a saber with the principles of Destreza. And we saw here that there were some kind of protections for the fencer, also a protection in the tip of the saber, and the use of hats. The hats was intended as a protection also. They were not wearing masks yet. And this, the writer of this book is Maestro de todas las armas examinado, is to say this is an official master of the Destreza, because the Destreza, as Marco Ferrari has said before, was a system that was officially approved, and the master have to have an examination and have to have records to recognize them as an official master. If anybody was teaching fencing without the proper title, they can be prosecuted. Nearly coming to the end, now Mexico was independent, and in 1833, this was published a book, and they here are joining America and Asia again, because the author was Roman Punzalan. This was born in Philippines. Probably his father was Philippine and the mother of Spanish stock, because for the family names in Spain we use 2 family names, the first from the father and the second from the mother. No? He has a French, spent some time in France and learned fencing there. And he said that he has influence from Danet, a French author, and from Lawrence de Rada, another author. And this book, you can see that it's mixed between Destreza and French systems. We see that in the 19th century, the French system was taking ground to the Destreza almost to replace it almost completely at the end of the 19th century. And just to finish, just to say that see that the Destreza has these deep roots in the Spanish society. This was incorporated in the American environment. And in this also, two of the main authors of Destreza, that is Carranza and Lawrence de Rada, were present in America. There were also different interpretations of the system, and there was a rich interchange between different American territories. Thank you very much.